Hey everyone, Base DS here, bringing you an update video for Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, and I've got a few things that I'm going to quickly go over. One thing concerning the Let's Play itself, and for the rest, actually concerning Unchained Key as a whole. So, first thing I want to go ahead and say and get out of the way is, if the color seems a bit different, that's because I decided to just swallow my pride and switch on over to using the HDMI lightning adapter for my iPad. Reason being, I was doing some tests the other day and I was really getting a lot of lag, and I also know that in the last video there was actually a couple points of lag, and I just don't want to bother having to mess with it. So despite the adapter causing a glitch that'll randomly happen from time to time to where you see it kind of mess up over on the right side of the screen, I've just decided to say to hell with it, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick with using the HDMI lightning adapter for the rest of the LP, and until whenever Unchained Key actually closes down, which really probably won't be for another, I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 years. I don't know. I mean, I've never really actually been this heavy into a mobile game before, and I know some end up having their service discontinue like maybe after 3 or 4 years, but concerning how this is part of the Kingdom Hearts series, I mean, I'm sure that Square-Enix will support it for as long as they can. But anyway, in terms of for the rest of the LP, I'm just going to be using the HDMI adapter, so if the color looks a bit different, then that's the reason why. And so, on to the main part of this video. Let me go ahead and bring up the notices. We recently had PAX East over the weekend, and it was there that we discovered that later next month, Unchained Key will be going a rejuvenation, and going forth it will be called Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. So basically, this is how they're introducing the second season that I mentioned back when I first started doing this LP, to where eventually we're actually going to be running out of material from the original Kingdom Hearts Key web browser game, and then we're going to start getting story elements exclusive to Unchained Key. And this is how they've decided to do it. So they've decided to just go ahead and revamp everything, and plus to add into the fact that we're also getting the multiplayer update whenever the rejuvenation into Union Cross happens. So that's actually something I'm really looking forward to. I mean, granted, I don't even know how I'm gonna go about labeling my videos now. I mean, there is a certain point to where I at least want to get through the bulk of the original Kingdom Hearts Key stuff before I want to go ahead and label the videos as Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. I don't know, that's just me, that's how I operate. I can't help it, I have to be picky. But yeah, I mean, regardless, it's just giving the game a fresh new take as it evolves into its own identity, because up until now, it's just mainly been a cut and paste from the original Kingdom Hearts Key. So now that it's forming into its own self, I feel like this seems somewhat appropriate. I mean, it deserves to be its own identity. Granted, that probably didn't make much sense, but screw it. But anyway, one thing to take note of, they are pre-registering. I mean, basically it's going to be a free upgrade anyway, but the main reason why you want to go ahead and pre-register, we are actually going to, if we get enough people pre-registering, we will have, I want to say the top goal is 5,000 jewels, and on top of that, we would get our hands on 7 copies of the exclusive Sora and Roxas medals that they are advertising for the pre-registration campaign. So just go ahead and jump on that, because I mean, heck, knowing the fan base, we're probably going to hit those marks. So hey, free medals, what can you do about it? I mean, if we can get to that point, then hey, it's just more stuff for us. But it's going to be good seeing the mobile game finally evolve into its own form and not just be a straight derivative from the original game. So that's mainly what this update was about. And one thing I also want to go over is that, granted, depending on how they go about distributing them, and I've mentioned this plenty of times so far on the LP, and I'll go into more detail over it whenever we get into the guilting video after we have the ability to guilt, is that one thing that did come out of PAX is that they confirmed that we are finally getting Mickey and Brooms. And that will help out tremendously. I mean, like, for my original game, I've got some medals that I would have loved to have guilted, but unfortunately on my version I was always free to play. And granted, I can't really say the same for here now that I'm paying to get more jewels and get access to all these exclusive medals they do. So yeah, really I shouldn't be doing it, but to hell with it, I might as well. But yeah, depending on how we get Mickey and Brooms, it's going to really change the landscape. And plus, they also communicated that they know about the power difference between JP and NA, the Japanese version of the game, versus the North American and worldwide version of the game. And that's mainly one of the reasons why they finally decided to bring Mickey and Brooms here. And on top of that, they're also going to be adjusting several past medals to increase their damage output or abilities. And what else, like, one instance, for example, when they did an event back in November to promote the Disney movie Moana, we had 2 medals based off of Moana and Maui, and Japan is actually getting those medals when the movie hits in a few days, and the medals have completely different effects from what we have. I don't really remember what they are off the top of my head, but they are completely different. So the fact that they know that the global version of the game is in a far inferior position to the Japanese version of the game, it's nice that they're actually going in and they're gonna make the game a bit more accessible for us. And hopefully, depending on how they give us Mickey and Brooms, it'll probably be mostly a VIP thing. But I also know that I want to say they had some Coliseum events, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I just read up on JP stuff whenever they get their weekly updates when I'm on Kingdom Hearts Insider or KH13, one of the two, and that's just how I read up on the info. But regardless, it's going to be good to see the landscape for the game change dramatically. And I'm going to be looking forward to the multiplayer update. That's going to be really fun to do. I think you're limited to who all is in your group, I think. I'm not exactly sure, but they'll probably tell us more as we get closer and closer. And of course, JP is going to be getting the update, then the transformation into Union Cross first. That way they can go ahead and iron out the bugs and everything, and I can understand that. But regardless, it's going to be interesting to see how the game ends up being. So my plan for right now is I'm going to try and get as much stuff in terms of the story from the quests involving the original Kingdom Hearts key that were brought over into Unchained Key, and I want to get to that certain point to where I can talk about the original Kingdom Hearts keys ending before I go ahead and start naming everything after Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. I don't know, I'm just methodical like that. I have a certain way of doing things, and it's probably going to be my downfall one of these days, but if it doesn't end up being it, then hey, I welcome it. But regardless, I hope you all have been enjoying things so far. I know there was a pretty big gap between the last update back in February and the 2 videos I posted up recently in the past couple days, but I'm working on it. It can be hard to get time to actually record, especially when I work not technically a 9-to-5 job, more of an 11-to-7 job. So usually at the end of the day, I'm pretty wiped. But yeah, if I was in an easier position, then I would probably be uploading a lot more. And of course, granted, with the way that I render and everything, yeah, that kind of factors into it, but when I start doing some of the other games I want to do, I'll be able to actually create more videos for those individual games, and that'll be able to fill out a good chunk of the upload time. So that probably won't start until, I want to say maybe April. I'm not exactly sure, but regardless, I am working on it, and who knows, maybe it may not be April. It may end up being sometime within the next week or so. I don't know, it all depends on how everything works out. But regardless, in the end, I hope you all have been enjoying things so far, and I am at least hoping you all are enjoying the content that I'm bringing you, and I plan on bringing a hell of a lot more content to you here on my channel, and I just hope that I'm doing the best in my abilities to satisfy you all as you watch these videos. So, until next time, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again later.